And it's a good morning, the Gelding. Gelding, we're back live. This is unbelievable.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Saturday afternoon. A bit hectic Anzac Day for you, was it?
Well, yeah, had commitments in the afternoon, Gelding. You know that now the local football clubs are playing Anzac Day in the afternoon, so it was a bit hard to clear commitments enough on Friday. But given I left at half time yesterday, I probably could have been back to pre-record the show yesterday.
Professor. Becoming a bit of a local trend, isn't it? The local clubs are trying a couple of night games, Anzac Day games and things like that. Do you prefer it, or would you prefer local football to be Saturday afternoon?
Well, I actually prefer local football to be Saturday afternoon, but look.
Times they are changing.
They are, because in Southern Football Netball League yesterday, out of the 5 games for decision this weekend, 4 were played yesterday, including the 2 Bentley teams playing at home.
Amazing. But which is good. But obviously they ran into a fairly stiff opposition yesterday, Bentley.
Yeah, Bentley ran into Cheltenham, the premiers. They were smarting from, I think they're smarting from their first round defeat to Doveton. So it was 10 goals to 1 at half time. Gelding didn't end well for Bentley.
And being a local around the area, Professor, I know about 3 o'clock yesterday. It was a trifle wetter outside as I was watching the football on TV.
Yes, the inside of the car on the way home was much warmer, Gelding.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, we're going to Morphettville today, Gelding.
Yes, Professor.
Because the tracks and the weather in other venues, Melbourne and Sydney to be specific, are a little bit query how they are. I know it's at least a soft 6 at Moonee Valley. That's before there might be any rain today.
Yeah, Moonee Valley's a soft 6. Randwick, I think, is a soft 7. And if you go Eagle Farm, where there's 4 listed races, Professor, another program I had a look at, they've got a heavy 8. So, I was surprised when I opened up a TAB site today and it said Morphettville a good 4.
Yes.
I'm sure they caught plenty of rain earlier in the week, Professor. So, don't know whether I'm a bit dubious about the good 4. So, but all we can do is take on what's listed and see what happens.
Yes, Gelding. Well, a 9-race card today, not the 10, the 9-race card. Back to where we like it.
Oh, Professor. Yes. What's a daily double? Eh? Do you reckon we'll ever get back to the 8-race program with the daily double? Race 5 and race 7?
Well, daily double should be races 6 and 8 today, Gelding.
Well, they should be, Professor.
All right, Gelding. The first's at 12:32, and they can afford to start later because there's only 9 races, and the last at 5:22 p.m. So it's a nice little compact race meeting. The feature races, Gelding, because there's 2. Race 7, the Australasia Oaks, a Group 1 race worth $1 million, and race 8, the Robert Sangster Stakes, also a Group 1 worth $1 million. So some fine racing. 7 group races on the card, Gelding. So it's an action-packed day at Morphettville.
Yeah, some good early races too, Professor.
Yes, Gelding. And as you said,
a lot of horses with form in Melbourne.
Exactly, Gelding. And as you said, a good 4 for the track. It's going to be fine weather there today, so maybe the track might even improve from there. The rail, Gelding, and what we like to see on a feature race meeting, the rail's in the true position, Gelding.
Well done, Professor. Hey? Notice previously it had been out a fair distance, 9 metres and 6 metres. So here we have a racing club which has got its main races coming up now, its main carnival. So they've protected the first 9 metres of the track and put it back on the rail so we'll get good racing.
Yeah.
What a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, very pleasant surprise, Gelding. All right. So given that we're only got 9 races to tip from today, what are your 2 best bets for Morphettville?
Professor, I'm late in the day, race 7 and race 8. First, the Australasian Oaks. Look, I've had a look at it, and I think the race might be between the top 2, Professor, but I'm going to go number 2, Benagul. This is a horse trained by Glenn Thompson out of Flemington. And people who don't know Glenn Thompson was the co-trainer with Mike Moroney, the New Zealand Flemington trainer. So Glenn is now, with the passing of Mike Moroney, Glenn Thompson is now training solely. Look, a very, very astute trainer. Benagul, this is a horse that last start went to the Vinery Stud Group 1 race in New South Wales, up at Randwick, and ran second to the Inform horse, which everyone would have known, Treasure the Moment. So anything that's running second to Treasure the Moment over 2,000 metres last start puts it in with a great chance for this race, Professor. It carried 56 against Treasure the Moment, carries 56 kilos today. Mark Zara goes aboard, drawn nicely, reasonably in 13, so should be able to stay out of a bit of trouble, Professor. So look, I'm hoping for Benagul today. Had 9 starts for 3 wins. Before the second at Rose Hill, won a race at Caulfield, $500,000 Vobers Guineas race. So all good current form, Professor. Well trained, hopefully to be well ridden by Mark Zara. So we'll go race 7, number 2. We'll then go to the main race, Professor, the Robert Sangster 1,200 metre race. Group 1 for fillies and mares, worth $1 million, Professor. Lot of good chances in this race, but I'm going for one of your favourite trainers and local trainer in Phil Stokes.
Fabulous Phil.
Yes, Uncle Phil. He has 2 horses in it, Stretton Angel and Climbing Star. Climbing Star won the race last year and is a bit shorter than the one I'm going for. Professor, I'm going for Stretton Angel, race 8, number 2, to be ridden by Tommy Stockdale. It's around about the $6, Professor, at the moment, so a good each way bet in a very open race. The form of this horse, the last 3 starts, ran second in the Lightning Stakes, then ran third to Jolly Star in the Newmarket Handicap, and then ran 4th in the Group 1 William Reid at Moonee Valley. But that track that day was a bit funny, Professor, at Moonee Valley, certainly favouring the front runners. So look, a good each way bet. I'm going race 8, number 2, Stratton Island. And you like, Professor? Stratton Angel, I should say.
Okay, Gelding, I'm going earlier than you. Race 2, the Breeders' Stakes. It's a Group 3 for 2-year-olds, over 1,200 metres. I like in this race, Gelding, horse number 3, Petite Artiste, coming out of barrier 4. Only had the 3 starts, Gelding, for 1 win and a placing, so a 33% win rate, 67% place rate. It's up in class, Gelding. It's a last start winner at the track by 3.5 lengths in a listed race. It's the highest rated horse in the field, Gelding. I think the owners think that this horse can perform, as its first race was in a Group 3, the Ottawa Stakes at Flemington, where it didn't really disappoint. Daniel Stackhouse is on board, Gelding. He's third currently in the Victorian Jockeys Premiership. Gelding, I was interested to see, he might be running third, but he's had the most starts of any jockey in the Premiership race. He's had 681. That's 51 more rides than Jamie Mott, who's running second.
Fantastic. Very hard-working jockeys, Jamie Mott and Daniel Stackhouse. Very professional. Both very tall and have to look after their weight. So if you see some of their regimes to keep the weight off themselves, Professor, they've got to work hard. They're probably going to be in it for a limited time. So, have to make the most of all the things. But Daniel Stackhouse is now riding for most major stables. Does a lot of riding for the Hayes brothers. So, well worth following. And you don't lose anything by having Jamie Mott or Daniel Stackhouse on your horses.
Exactly, Gelding. And he's in career form at the moment. His career, over his whole career, win rate's 11%, but over the current racing year, he's at 15%. So that's a pretty good strike rate. Trained by Amy and Ash Yagi, and they've got a 10% career strike rate, so that's pretty good. And I like the odds here, Gelding. $4.80 and $1.60 you can get.
Yeah, I like it, Professor. I like it.
And I think the Danger is the top weight.
Oh, definitely. Very impressive win at Caulfield, but and that's legacy bound, but it's learning the ropes, Professor. So, against profession, as it goes up in class against these better type of horses, you can't do too much wrong.
Exactly, Gelding. And what we can say is that the viewers might like to take a Quinella 1 and 3. You could go worse than that at the races today.
I like it, Professor. Good suggestion.
All right, my second selection for the day, Gelding, is in race number 3, the John Hawkes Stakes.
Yes. Well, John Hawkes, before he came across for the Ingham brothers, and that was a jockey, and then became a trainer and was South Australian's leading trainer. So an excellent nomination for the race, Professor.
Yeah, the Group 3 quality race, Gelding, over 1,100 metres. I like in this one, horse number 10, La Defence, coming out of Barrier 2. Had 7 starts for 4 wins and 2 placings, Gelding. So it's an in-form horse, 57% win rate, 86% place rate. What do I like? Well, it's up in class, but down 4 kilos in weight from its last start, which was a second at Flemington, where it was beaten by half a length. Finished like a train, Gelding. I was watching it on film today.
Yeah,
it absolutely came from nowhere, and I knew that it finished second. About the only time it was second, Gelding, was right on the line. But very handy horse. It's won at the track, Gelding. It's won over the distance. It's 1 second up, so it ticks a lot of the boxes.
Professor, I noticed that you mentioned the second last start. But what about the form before that?
Oh, yeah, picket fence, Gelding.
1-1-1-1.
Exactly.
Is that like the Peter Moody ad? Run, win. 1-1-1-1-1.
Oh, Gelding, you break me up sometimes.
Oh, dear.
Terrific value here, Gelding. $8 and $2.30. So we hope this one gets up for the punters.
Oh, beautiful.
Ben Price is in the saddle. He's got a 10% career win rate and trained by Will Clarkson and Nicky O'Shea.
Clarkson's a very, very well regarded in South Australia, Professor, and very, very smart trainers. And Price is a good South Australian jockey. So, look, there's some big name jockeys going over for it, but I don't think he'll be worried about it with a horse that can win 4 races in a row. They're the ones we like to back.
Exactly, Gelding. So my 2 today with a little bit of a French flavour, you might have noticed, Gelding. Race 2, horse number 3, Petite Artiste.
Yes.
And race 3, horse 10, La Defence.
I like it, Professor. You're having the duck à l'orange tonight?
Oh, if only.
Eh?
If only.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, Gelding. Let's turn to the Professor's parlay. Last week was a day to forget, Gelding.
Oh, Smack for the Gelding.
Throw the form guide for racing and AFL out of the window.
Yes.
I went back through the records, Gelding. I gave up after I got to some way through last year. I couldn't find a day where we didn't get at least one leg of the parlay up.
And
yes. We didn't get a leg of the parlay up. Gelding, now tell me, broadsiding at Randwick, what happened?
Well, after the run, it was just never in it. It's now been retired to stud, Professor. There was talk that it was going overseas to race for the Godolphins overseas.
Yes, you mentioned that last week, Gelding.
That's how well they fancied it. And then all of a sudden during the week, I announced broadsiding's retired and we'll be standing at stud. I think for a fee of 66,000, Professor.
Well, they probably didn't want 66 to become less than that because if you have a couple of dud runs, that's what can happen.
Very disappointing. Look, I think it ran about 10th, Professor, and it had everything in its favour. So maybe it's mine, maybe on other things at the moment. But it's been a horse that's been very good to us normally.
Yes, Gelding.
Apart from last week.
And Gold Coast, favourites in their game against Richmond. The line, Gelding, 46.5 points, if you don't mind. Richmond won by 11 points.
Yes, and only playing 3 quarters. Didn't score in the last quarter, Richmond, against Gold Coast. Very similar to the second half of Thursday night's game, Professor.
Well, yes, Gelding and Fremantle, 35.5 point favourites over Melbourne, who won by 10 points. So, as I said, form guide, throw it out the window.
The form last night's proven, wasn't it? You can't follow Fremantle. You just don't know what you're going to get. Exactly. They come out, they play Melbourne, who hadn't won a game, and get beaten quite easily, and then beat Adelaide, who have won 4 or 5 games, Professor. 4 games. So
they were pretty hot before last night, Gelding. So form guide out the window. So the parlay 7 from 18, 39%. So we've now dipped under the 40. So we've got to change that today, Gelding.
Yes, hopefully we will, Professor. But a hard day today.
Well, it is a hard day, but we revel in that, Gelding. We rise to the challenge here at That's Racing.
Yes, I agree.
All right, Gelding. So the agreed bet of the day is race 7, horse number 2 at Morphettville. Benagill, for all the reasons you mentioned before. And we'll parlay that into Port Adelaide to beat North Melbourne. Port Adelaide playing at home. They're 10th on the ladder. They've won 3 and lost 3. Pretty good win over Sydney at the SCG last week, Gelding.
Yes.
Playing North Melbourne, who are 17th. Their only wins over Melbourne. So they've been terrible otherwise. They've got the worst defence in the league, Gelding. They've allowed 704 points in 6 games. So they're averaging 117 points against. So you won't win many games if you're playing like that.
No, certainly not, Professor. They're certainly leaking goals. And, we've got to admit, I thought North Melbourne would have been a bit better this year.
Same here, Gelding. The line's 39.5, so the bookies don't like them either. And we'll parlay that into Hawthorn to beat West Coast. Hawthorn 7th on the ladder. They've won 4 from 6, Gelding. They've had a bit of a hiccup over the last 2, but they still look like good things. The West Coast Eagles, they're last on the table. They've got the second worst defence in the league. North Melbourne are letting in 117 points per game. West Coast 111 points per game. So they've got the second worst defence in the AFL. I can't see them getting over Hawthorn. Hawthorn playing at one of their home grounds, Marvel Stadium. They're a little bit like nomads, Gelding. They've got the MCG, they've got Marvel, and then they've got down in Tasmania.
Man, I noticed they had another jumper on last week too, Hawthorn. No, was it? Or I might have got mixed up with the Crows. I'll take that back, Professor.
All right, Gelding, the bookies, 56.5, almost 10 goals.
Wow.
So if Hawthorn get beaten, I'll be scratching my head. So today's parlay, Morphettville, race 7, horse 2, Benagill, into Port Adelaide to beat North Melbourne, into Hawthorn to beat the West Coast. And
I like it, Professor.
Been pretty good being back live, Gelding.
It's fantastic.
Working without the tightrope.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Any any news for the viewers from your local Pakenham track? Anything happening down there of interest for you?
No, pretty. Oh well, there was a horse that ran a pretty handy jump out during the week, and another one scheduled for this week before we go back to the races.
Yeah, so might have some news on our horse, Savvy Rocker, for the listeners in the next couple of weeks, Professor.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Give us something else to talk about.
What did you think of the interest? Peter Moody had Blake Shin and a young female apprentice, and Blake Shin rode the horse that was out of Black Caviar.
I wonder why. Oh, we can only marvel, Gelding. We can only marvel.
We can indeed. Looking forward to the trial this week, Professor.
All right, Gelding. So until next Saturday, and that's racing, it's good luck.